what the media says about the field of child welfare, what the media says when there's an unfortunate death of a child, has tremendous influence on the field. It impacts the people who work in child welfare and how they feel about themselves and the jobs that they do. It impacts legislators who start to think of new ways to legislate that set the field sometimes in a tailspin. It's critically important that we establish good and ongoing working relationships with the media in this country. It's one of the key advocacy tools that we have. So it's for that reason that this award is so incredibly important. I think that I looked at some research that one of my team members showed me that demonstrated that although advocacy groups are critically important, it's often the media, particularly at the local level, that has more influence on local rules and legislations related to the field of child welfare than anyone else. The award is based on nominations coming from the field, and then there's a committee that reviews the nominations and makes decisions about the award winner. We usually try to do two each year, and we did two this year. One of them we presented at our advocacy conference, and this one we have the pleasure to present now. So I'm going to ask if the Honorable Judge Peter Saki would join me on the stage. He was the one who found this gem in our list, right? And he's going to help me recognize the award winner for this year.
Good afternoon. Oh, you all just tired, huh? Well, Dr. James Brown, I'm one of those that got an early flight, so I'll probably be sneaking off in a little bit. But let me introduce myself. I'm Judge Peter Sakai. I'm a district court judge in Bexar County, Texas. For those that say, where's that? That's home to San Antonio Spurs and our recently retired great basketball player Tim Duncan, who could have easily gone a few more years, but you know what? He decided to taking care of his two young children was just as important as finishing out his career. And for that, we're eternally grateful for the contributions and commitment he has made to San Antonio, not only in the basketball court, but as a person. And we honored him just recently with his retirement. I want to thank the Child Welfare League for what's a great conference. Can we give the Child Welfare League of America a hand, please? Dr. James Brown, Todd Landry, CEO, Board Chair, thank y'all for your leadership. This has been a great conference. I run a family drug court in San Antonio, and we've been able to do a presentation, and I've been able to sit in on all the other breakout sessions. And it's been very rewarding and enlightening on the information that's out there. And thank you for Children and Family Futures for your support of this conference, because it's really, I believe it's a cutting-edge training, innovation to bring those cutting-edge programs that drug courts have created for our community. And I have advocated that what we learn in our drug court is what our child welfare system should do for all children and families in our communities. I'm here to recognize the winner of the Quindlen Award for Excellence in Journalism. Christine has explained how important that award is and how important the media plays in social welfare. And it's my honor and privilege to introduce Evie Ramos, the news anchor for Primetime News, the news slot there in San Antonio for WLI TV. And so one of the things I'd like to kind of share with you, for those that will judge, you're talking a little bit, you got to leave here. Well, that's what happens when you give a judge a mic. And so I want to share a few stories that tell you about the character and the reasons why I have such honor and privilege in introducing her and putting up for her nomination and Child Welfare Award, recognizing the contribution she makes to our community in San Antonio. By the way, she's a local girl. She grew up here in Santa Ana, so she's back home with her grandparents here today. But Evie, in one of the stories, she had an interview with Commissioner John Squeesha, who heads our Child Welfare Department for the state of Texas. And he happens to be my friend and mentor coming out of San Antonio, Texas. And so we've had a lot of conversations about, hey, can I get a story with him? We had some really high-profile child deaths, and those experiences, circumstances that kind of devastate not only the caseworkers, but the whole system. We know as caseworkers how much that risk and the blame, the shame that we see with our parents fall upon the system because of those unfortunate circumstances. And Evie said, you know what, I need to talk to Commissioner Squeesha because, I really think he needs to have an opportunity to speak on behalf of the department. And so, of course, I had his on speed dial on my cell phone, so I was able to, and he returns my phone calls, by the way. And so I got him on the phone, I said, hey, I got a local news anchor that wants to interview you. And his question to me was, can I trust her? And I said, yes, you can trust her. So with that, he says, okay, give her my cell phone, and we'll hook it up. Well, she did that interview, and that was one of the news pieces I submitted to the Child Welfare Group, where he was able to kind of explain the great efforts and the circumstances the child welfare workers work every day in the trenches, and that how unfortunate child deaths occur in our community, but they shouldn't be the measuring standard of how well our child welfare system works or performs, because we have so many dedicated caseworkers that go into places nobody else will. Think about it. They go to places where law enforcement with their guns and weapons are scared to go into. And they go with what? Their iPad and their cell phones in the middle of the night, right? And so he was able to kind of humanize the situation and give at least a feeling or at least a perspective that the child welfare system was working well in spite of some unfortunate child deaths. And so for that, Evie, I thank you, because what happened is, I can tell you, I gave her the inside story today. His PR department, you got governmental agencies out there, you got PR people that take care of the media. Well, they were furious that Evie was able to get into him without going through them, because what they usually do is they write off the script of how those interviews are going to be. And so that kind of gives you the character and the reputation that Evie Ramos established as a news anchor in San Antonio, Texas. And finally, there was another story that really kind of opened the door between me and her, and that was her story. She came to San Antonio about 2 years ago. I think you worked all here in California, and San Antonio picked her up as, I assume, a free agent, gave her a great contract, right, Stevie? And, got her over to San Antonio. For the last 2 years, she's been covering child welfare cases. And one of the things that she's been able to do is focus on the positive stories. Not only is it the ride-alongs, I think that's kind of a common story the local media will do, but what she'll do is she'll get into the ride-along and go into the homes, and obviously with the consent of the people that are involved in these news pieces. She shares the story of the anguish that these parents have to face, and how hard these workers communicate with these parents in these most dire circumstances of having their children about to be removed. And she shows stories of how they communicated, made referral to services, and that a lot of families were able to avoid having their children removed because you had a dedicated worker committed to protect that child, but also preserve the family unit. But finally, she had a personal story that kind of opened my eyes as to who she was and the reason why I trust her. She had a powerful, poignant, and personal story that she put out herself about her personal story as a teenage mom. who gave up her child for adoption, the ultimate act of love by a parent. And so I knew that she was genuine. I knew that she was strong. I knew that she was dedicated to children and families. And for that, I'm proud to have nominated. I'm proud to see that Evie Ramos of San Antonio, Texas, is your Anna Quindlen Award for excellence in journalism in behalf of children and families. Evie, come on up.
I won't keep you guys too long because just like judges, news people can talk a lot too. We could probably have a competition and I might win, I think. But I just want to say that this is, and I mentioned this as well to Cassandra when she emailed me to tell me that I won this award, because I told her in this email, I said, this is to me even more important than an Emmy would be. An Emmy is like the ultimate in my field. But awards like this mean so much more to me because these are the types of stories that I am so passionate about. I knew that getting into this field, it would give me a platform, and I wanted to make sure that I gave it justice and that I used it in a responsible way. And child welfare is one of my biggest passions. As was mentioned, I was pregnant in high school and placed a child for adoption, and it's an open adoption, so we've maintained a relationship over the years with him and his parents. And but even more so, even before then, I'm the eldest of 7 children, and 2 of them were adopted through the foster care system here in Orange County. And so 2 of my siblings that I love dearly, just as I do my blood, my birth brothers and sisters, we're all just one big, happy family. So I'm passionate about foster care, I'm passionate about adoption, I'm passionate about anytime I get into a new place that my career takes me, one of the first people I get in contact with, I contact the CPS there in that area, I contact the adoption agencies in that area, and the CASA volunteers in that area, to really just kind of delve into that field and make sure that I can tell those stories. And any field, any market you go to, like was mentioned, they're going to tell whenever something negative happens, it's going to make it, and all the stations are going to cover that news, they're going to cover that child death, they're going to cover that horrific story of abuse. And you don't have to worry about, are they going to cover it? Yes, they're for sure going to cover it. So I kind of leave that to all the other reporters and stations to do, because I know that they're going to. But I like to, as was mentioned, get into it and tell the positive stories that happen, because there are so many more positive stories than there are negative stories, and those are the ones that don't really get told. And so I find that it's my responsibility to use my platform to make sure that those positive stories make it out, so that the viewers at home don't think that, the CPS workers are out against them and the CPS workers just want to take their kids away and never see them again. That's not the way it is. And so I think that it's our responsibility in the media to make sure that both sides of the story get told. And so I just want to thank all of you. Thank you for allowing me to come home for a couple days and to see my family come home and then be able to be uplifted. I met so many people in the exhibit hall actually earlier today that gave me even more story ideas or when I head back home to San Antonio. So thank you to Judge Sakai for giving me this opportunity and for opening his door. That doesn't always happen when you're a new anchor or reporter in a market. You don't necessarily have smiling faces and happiness when you contact them. They're usually like, no, I don't want to talk to you. So Judge Sakai opened his doors, and I got to get to know him, and he got to know me, and we built this trust that allows me then to share these stories. So with that said, thank you to Judge Sakai, and thank you to all of you.